Oops. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, 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 welcome in. It's good to be here with you guys. We are on episode 11, and this is an impromptu. This is a very random um, y- show that it's not a class, although it may be a class. It may turn into a class. Um, but it's a quick little live that I wanted to do. I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened to me the last couple of days um, and share a little bit about what we can do right now as we navigate some very new and interesting energies that are infiltrating us. And not from a disempowered state or a state of fear, but from a sovereign, empowered, free state of being. And so, welcome, 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 welcome in. Happy to have you guys here. Hello. Um, I am feeling floaty. I'm feeling like I'm coming out of anesthesia. My head feels spacey. The enemy is wild. Blessings from El Salvador. I feel so off and out of it for the last few months. Can't get out of it. Well, I'm going to go into a little story. Let me just back up. Um, what I'm going to talk about today is um, if you are feeling or if you start to feel off, weird, not yourself, heavy, like something's inside of you, like something is taking over, um, if you are feeling like the old ways that you have been are like they're almost like building up again inside of you. I don't know how else to say this. Like they're getting louder inside you, like they're little bullies in the playground. This is different, I would say, than anything that we've experienced in the past. Now, I've been very open the last 8, 9 years of everything that I experience and everything that I go through and how I navigate it because it is an evolutionary shift in consciousness. That's what we are all doing. And so the more that I've been able to just honestly share the process and the journey, um, it helps us kind of, or helps some people unravel what they're going through. And so I've been very open about my own journey and what it's been like to navigate very consciously a process of shifting consciousnesses, moving into new states of being slowly. And so, what I have been experiencing this past year, and you may be feeling the same way, is nothing like what I have been experiencing the past 8, 9 years, 10 years. What we are in right now is a level of, um, I wanted to say a dirty word, like a cuss word, but it's like a type of messery that we've never been in before. It's as if we've stepped on an ant hill and all the ants are running around, the red ants going crazy, right? Trying to figure out who disrupted the ant hill. That's what it feels like on the planet right now. And you can imagine these ants as these parasitic infiltrated frequencies. And they're very upset because humanity is beginning to come back into alignment with their God self, with the God particle, with the divine creator. And we're starting to move into more of an aligned state once again, slowly, very slowly. When this happens, we are in new territory. You see, the past 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, we've been getting close to that ant hill. We've been seeing the ant hill. We've noticed the ants, but we haven't actually stood on top of the ant hill. And so it's a very different experience to walk up to the ant hill, to look at the ant hill. The ant hill being the way in which this entire world works, and the little beings and humans and hybrid humans that are inside that ant hill that have been controlling all of us, for thousands of years. So first we're like, wait, what is that? That's an anthill? What's that anthill doing? Right? You start to get more and more aware. Then you're like, what's inside the anthill? You get closer and you start seeing things coming out, right? You start noticing the government is doing these things. You start noticing corporations are doing these things. You start noticing the school system and the banking systems and the pharmaceutical companies are doing it. You start noticing all these things coming out of the anthill, all these systems. You're like, what is going on? You get closer and closer, and you become more aware of what's been controlling this planet. And like I said yesterday in my show, this is a battle of frequency, and you are frequency, your body is frequency. The closer we get to the frequencies that are impacting our frequencies, the louder those frequencies are going to get. And so what we find on the planet right now is nothing, and this is very important to understand. We have never experienced the type of frequency battle and the infiltration right now than any other time. It's very, very different. And what we do, because we don't realize that it's different, we have no idea it's different. We are trying to make sense of it from the old playbook. Meaning, oh, I've got limiting beliefs. I must need to, master these somehow. I need to now positive think this. Or I've got all these emotional things that are popping up. It must be because I haven't dealt with dot, dot, dot. Or I need to learn how to hold firmer boundaries. And there's all these things, right? Oh, I've got these addictive behaviors, and it's because of this trauma that I had when I was 7 years old, and I need to heal this trauma, and actually the trauma is connected to and so on. Now, at some point along the journey to the anthill, all of those things were correct. All of those things worked. What I believe is happening now is that because the symptoms that you and I are feeling have now exponentially increased based on the frequencies coming out of the anthill because we have gotten so close to the anthill. What used to be normal things that we would try to navigate, fix, and heal are now being poked at and amplified by these frequencies. And so trying to fix or change what we used to do and the way we used to do it isn't going to work because what is now happening is a completely different scenario. But the problem is that it feels the same. But I'm going to invite you to pay attention to something. There is a difference between what you may be feeling right now and what you've felt in the past. And here's a good way of sort of starting to peel it apart and realize that it's not anything you've experienced in the past. So let's say you have anxiety again. I keep having anxiety, or you have depression again, or you have your lack of money is in your face, or you've got an addiction that's coming up again. And you're like, "Well, I've had this for so and so years, Lori." Here's what I want you to really pay attention to, okay? Does it feel like something is coming into you? This is a huge deciphering piece that we need to start paying attention to because we all will get lost in the fact that it feels like everything else I've been dealing with my whole life. Here it comes again. Oh, it's popping up again. The old ways are popping up again, right? It must be that I'm clearing it out or, whatever we tell ourselves. I'm a bad person. No. Feel into the fact that something feels like it's coming in, almost like it doesn't feel right. Something feels like it's like pointing or poking at you. It just feels different. And listen, I am somebody that I am all about going into the messy. I love the mess. I don't shy away. I definitely don't bypass it. I don't positive think my way out of anything I find myself in. I dissect it. I'm a dissector of energy. I'm a dissector of this evolution we're in. I do it all day long. So I am very aware that what we're in right now is significantly different energetically than anything we've been in before. It's tricky because it feels the same. Okay, so let me share a little story with you that happened yesterday. There's a lot of things that happened to me, especially the last 8 months working with Jesus, that I don't share because I like to keep a lot of it to myself. And also, I sometimes it people can like judge themselves if they hear other people share stories, or then they think that maybe that's happening to them or it needs to happen to them. But this is an important story. And it has everything to do with what I just shared with you about the ant hill and how we're actually going to be experiencing what we consider trauma, things that need to be fixed and healed. And then I'm going to go into why these things are coming up and what to do. So on Monday, maybe Sunday, I can't remember what day it was. I started feeling like, I think it might have been Sunday. I started feeling weird again, off. I felt like somebody had just put 20 pounds of weight in my body, like I was carrying something. I felt like old addictive patterns that I've dealt with most of my life came up really loud, really loud. It was as if I went from where I have brought myself working with Jesus and God, and I went back 3 years, and all of a sudden, I was this version of me, like, truly, like, full blown, put the suit back on, I have now just dropped 3 went back 3 years, and I'm this version of me that didn't fit any longer, but it was in me. It was like a character came in and took over. A character I was familiar with, but hadn't been in me. And this character, I knew it wasn't me, but I also knew that it was in me and it was playing out as me, almost like a body double. And it was the same, the thoughts started coming in again. The behavior started coming in again. The desires that I liked to do 8 months ago started coming in again. And I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. First of all, I don't know how to get rid of it. Second, I really don't want it here. And third, it feels like I am being violated. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was being violated. And now, because I work with Jesus all day long, I knew that it had to do with parasitic energies. I knew it had to do with infiltrated energies. So I picked something up. Um, and I knew that it was feeding off of something inside of me. So infiltrated energies, or and this is not to like create fear, this is to create information, like awareness, so then you can combat what you think is wrong with you. There isn't anything. um when the infiltrated energies come in, they come in from our phones, from our TVs. I talked about this yesterday, right? They come in from being in a specific house or a room or whatever. And it doesn't happen all the time. Okay. So don't go around your whole life being like, oh my God, I have to protect myself because I'm going to be infiltrated by all these energies. And I highly encourage you to not take this message and do that with it, because that would be a horrible way to live. um, what's important to understand is that just you're just going to become more aware perhaps of how you feel throughout your day and ways to combat anything weird that you feel quickly, as quickly as you can, so that it doesn't stay and remain. So I'm feeling this weird energy, and I'm talking to Jesus and I'm like, what is this? And he said, I need you to fast. I need you to starve. This is legit what he said to me. I need you to starve what is inside of you. Um, on doing a water fast. And I'm very familiar. I do water fasts all the time. I'll do them for a day. I'll do them for 2 days. I'll do them for half a day. I'll do them for 5 days. I do them all the time. And so I was like, okay, I'll do a water fast. And he said, do this water fast if you can for 3 days, and it will be gone from you. You need to starve out what's in you. And I was like, okay. So I started on day one, and I ended up for all 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I ate a small meal at the end of each day, soup or cucumber and avocado or something, just small. So I didn't do a full 3 day, full blown water fast, but I was starving. I could tell that I was starving out my body. I had the intention of starving it out, whatever it was in there, and I was working with Jesus, and I was working with God. So I had the intention and the awareness, which is really, really important if you're going to fast for that purpose. And so Monday, funky, I just felt like something was in me. Tuesday, I felt it. It was just like, and I'm not gonna lie, because I've been so aligned with God, I've been so aligned with this light. It freaked me out. I was like, oh my God, like, okay, this is gonna be a little bit like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do if this doesn't come out of whatever this is? And again, I want to be really clear. I knew it wasn't me. I was very clear that something was inside of me. Um, and yesterday, in our 40-day class, I was leading the class and we were bringing God's light in. And halfway through the class, I heard God say, stop what you're doing and let me clear or clean every person's body in class. Um, and I'm like, okay. So then in class, I was like, all right, you guys, God wants all of us to just receive this light, and God's light is going to be moving through us and cleaning us out, almost like a car wash. You walk around your day, and you take your fresh car out and it gets dirty, right? It drives around the town, the city, and you pull back into the driveway and it has some dirt on it. What God was explaining was that's the same thing as what happens to you and I when we walk outside every day or just wake up. We start engaging in the world, we start collecting quote unquote dirt. And so God says, I'm going to clear and clean your insides. I want you guys to imagine that my light is moving through you. And of course, somebody remind me to come back to faith because it's an extremely important part of the conversation. Anywho, we do it, and c'est la vie, class is over, and I'm going about my day. Um, and I can still feel something in there, but it's not as intense. And I'm not really too concerned. I know that it will resolve itself. Okay, so last night I'm laying in bed, or I'm doing something, I'm working. Oh, I was sitting with Jesus for an hour last night. That's what I did. I was sitting with Jesus for an hour last night, just in complete darkness, just sitting there, just staring. And because I was feeling so disconnected, I really wasn't feeling myself. Um, and I just surrendered completely to however the path was going to be. I just knew that I was close to Jesus. I knew that God was with me. And I knew that whatever was going to happen in terms of whatever this was inside. And so I get up after the hour and I go lay down, and I realize, I'm like, wait, something is, I could feel the weight. Literally, it felt like I was 20 pounds lighter. There's no way for me. I've experienced this a few times the past 8 months working with Jesus and God. And it what it feels like is that something inside of you is gone. Literally like a weight is gone. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, the thoughts are gone. The thoughts that are just kind of always there. If you know, you kind of know what I mean. They're just these taunting thoughts that just kind of linger and they'll pop up every once in a while, gone. The weird sort of addictive behavioral tendencies, gone. And so I started tuning in and I was like, oh, it's gone. It's completely out of my body. And so I sat there, I sat in the bed and I stared and I was like staring at my wall like, okay, what happened? When was the inception point that this thing came inside of me? I was asking Jesus like, when did this come in and what caused it to leave? And I'm sitting there like going back, the past month and I'm like, did it come in at this point? Again, I'm a scientist, you guys. I dissect everything. I'm always dissecting energies all day long. And so I was like, okay, I think um so I had this experience a month ago which I'm keeping to myself, but I had this experience and it was an experience that shifted the frequency of my body into a little bit of a higher kind of octave, so to speak, through tones. And what Jesus said was, when you had that experience, it jolted your body into a little bit of a higher frequency, and that jolt sort of shifted or shook some of the excess, stuck parasitic energies that were in your body most of your life. And so, over the last couple of weeks, it was beginning to erupt. And for me, that is, he says, and there were certain places that I went. I'm not going to say where they were, but there were certain places that I went the past week to week and a half that were infested with darker parasitic energies. And I knew not to go to those places, but I went. It's not a bar or anything like that. But um, anyway, so he said that's where it came from for me, but he wanted me to understand that for a lot of you and for me, I've experienced this piece as well. What we are consuming, he said, what we are consuming, and I'm not talking about food, I'm not talking about water, I'm talking about consuming. What we are consuming is frequency that in like injects parasitic energies into the body that can feed off of old traumas. It will feed off of very familiar behavioral patterns that aren't completely resolved. It will feed off of limiting beliefs. It will feed off of it. And so and he said, because the human is used to this kind of stuff, because it's still stuck in the body in a way, the human will not understand they have to fight it. They won't understand that it's not them. They won't understand that it's actually a parasitic energy that they need to get rid of. And I'm going to tell you how to get rid of it. But he says they need to understand this. It's not them, it's not who they are. And he says it truly is coming into them and it nestles on in. And it's not there forever. It can be gone in 24 hours. It can be gone in 12 hours. It can be gone in an hour. This is why I want to talk about it. This is why I want to start talking about more and more, because the more we actually know what is truly happening, the faster we can get rid of it. Why do you think kids have such a high level of anxiety? We'll say, oh, it's because they're on their phones. What's coming out of the phones that they are consuming? Frequency. What is the frequency? It's energy that's moving in. And what does it do? It's like a parasitic thing that feeds off the anxiety. And so kids are running around thinking there's something wrong with them. The parents think there's something wrong with them. And meanwhile, they just need the antidote, which is the light of God. And so when I was sitting there last night, I was like, I still didn't know what cleared it. I still didn't recognize or put two and two together and say, "Oh, it was when I had the light of God move through me." Even though I know that that's what does it, I didn't realize, I didn't put it together. So I went to bed and I was just so grateful, so grateful, so grateful for awareness, so grateful for Jesus in my life showing me how this works. So grateful for all of it. And I woke up and I went into class. And we're on day 16, and I realized in class, I was like, "Oh, what we did in class yesterday is what cleared it." Of course it is. Of course it is. The light of God, literally, palpably. This God that I talk of, this light of God is a presence. It is alive. It's alive. It breathes, it communicates, it speaks to you energetically. It's not just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna have this light come in." It's truly something you engage with. It has a presence to it, like like you're in relationship with it. And all it wants to do is heal us from the BS and the illusion of what's actually taking over. What's actually taking over that we don't remember, we don't see, we don't understand yet. So, again, going back to what I said originally when we started this class, we are still trying to heal and fix issues that we are facing right now from a playbook, a way that we used to do it that isn't going to work any longer, because what is happening now is different than 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. What's happening now is that there is a massive amount of infiltrated frequencies that are jumping into the body, moving into the mind. I know this sounds crazy, but it's what's happening, and it is feeding off of what is still in the body based on traumas. That's why it feels like you. That's why it's like, why am I feeling these similar thoughts that are, but they're exponentially louder, and they come out of nowhere. It comes out of nowhere. And again, a lot of it is you're going to feel off, like weird, if you're feeling that. Um so with that awareness, starting to become more and more aware of this, what do? You recognize it and you go straight to the light, the pure divine light of God. What does that mean? It means you sit or you stand or you skip or you swim. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but you invite in that light. And I want you to, this is where faith is going to come in. I want you to imagine this light is alive. Don't imagine it like some light from the sun, because it's not the light from the sun. Don't imagine it as some light that maybe you've experienced, from some meditation. I want you to imagine this as a presence, like it's thick, it's palpable, it's tangible, it moves. It literally like has a way of expression and beingness. And it literally wants to come in and move things through you. I want you can imagine it like a shower inside your body. And this is not so that you can raise your vibration. This is not so that you can move into some like, blissful state. When God comes in and moves through you, What really happens is you become more grounded, you become more human, you become more soft, you become more gentle, you become more graceful. The opposite of, I think, what a lot of us are thinking, of like, I'm going to vibrate into some like, an enlightened state when God's light comes in. But it's the opposite, not in a negative way, but it's a very subtle, soft, gentle, grounded, real home feeling. And it wants to be a part of your life. It wants to come back in. It wants to activate your God particle. It wants to activate that divine genome in you. Because if that can continue to remain active, awake, open, these infiltrated energies that are coming from these devices will be repelled. They repel in the light of God, which is why I say it is the remedy for everything. Everything. Why? So I'll get to the faith piece because it's extremely important. But why is this happening? Why are the ants going at us now at a capacity that we weren't experiencing a year ago, 2 years ago? I'll just keep sharing this story, but 7,000 years ago is when the spiritual battle began on the planet. And if you remember me sharing what happened at that moment, at that time frame, was our divine, innate, energetic connection to creator, to source, to the light that you're bringing in right now was infiltrated, was clogged. So we became disconnected in a way from that light moving in. And thus, our divine genome shut down and we lost the memory of it all. And in so doing, these energies and beings and humans and half humans were able to control us. You and I will never be able to be controlled if we have the living, breathing light of God moving through us. It will not happen. Because you will start to become aware, which you're doing right now, of the infiltrated energies that are trying to come in and convince you that there's something wrong with you. If they can keep you in the loops, no matter how enlightened and aware you are of what's going on the planet, if they can keep you in the loop that all these things are wrong with you, you better fix this, change this, argue about politics, do so long, like I said yesterday, so long as you don't actually know what's happening, they don't care what's going on. And so we go around in these circles for our whole life. And we're healing ourselves and we're fixing ourselves and we're finding ourselves in like, these enlightened states for a while. And then we lose that again. And again, they don't care because we're not remembering like, "Oh my god, my divine genome is in here and it's been disconnected and I need to align and connect it back into the creator. I need to plug back in." And when that starts to come in, the anything that's in my body begins to be repelled out, which is why fasting is so important. When you fast, you are starving those infiltrated parasitic energies that have been in you most of your life, right? And so, and when you bring in the light of God, it's just flushes, flushes, flushes. And as you start doing this more and more, inviting this in more and more, you start to see the actual battle that you're in. You see when the infiltration comes in, you feel it, you know it's no longer something you have to fix, you know it's not you. The light of God is beginning to flow through you and it shows you who you are. And then these things start trying to convince you of who you are. You're like, that's not me. I know this was how I used to be, but I know this is not me, what happened the last 3 days. And I know it's not something I have to heal. I don't need to go find some book to heal me. I understand that this is infiltration. I understand that this is parasitic trauma that's being asked to be released. I understand it is not me. I understand it's arising because I'm either consuming it or the light of God is pushing it through. Either way, I'm not playing in the old games. I'm not buying what they're trying to sell me any longer. Because if I buy into it, I will still remain in control. Like they will control the planet's control mechanisms that these beings are doing. I'll still be in it. I won't find heaven on earth within me. I won't find God inside of me. If I'm controlled, if I think there's something wrong with me, if I think I need to fix and heal myself, when you become godlike, slowly but surely, you realize there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing. You literally start realizing there's nothing wrong with you except for what the world has told you is wrong with you and all the ways you need to fix it through their rules. And it works. And so you get caught in it. If it works, you're going to do it. Until you start actually breathing in your divine essence. Then you start walking around and you're looking at the whole world very differently, very differently. So here's the piece also is faith. So a lot of you will say, well, Lorie, I've been inviting, some of you have already messaged me, emailed me, like that are like, I started bringing in the light of God and so much of my life has changed, you know? Um, and a lot of you have said, nothing's happening. And so here's what I want to say to those of you that are courageously um, trusting me and inviting this light in, and nothing's happening yet. I want you to pay attention to faith. Faith. What is faith? Faith is absolute knowing that it is absolutely true without any proof. It's absolutely knowing that it is true without any proof ever. That's faith. So you have to know with absolute certainty that God's light is not only coming in, but it is clearing and healing and fixing and changing and dismantling without you actually having any proof that that's happening. That's how challenging faith is, but it is the number one ingredient necessary to move forward in this dynamic and embodiment of God's light. Because if you can't trick the mind and tell the mind that this is true, because remember, your entire life, you have been pulled from this truth. You've been pulled from the fact that you and you alone are designed to divinely connect up into that light and pull that light in. Of course, if you want assistance, Yeshua is the number one guide that will take you there and show you and unravel and unpack and walk you through the whole journey. But it's your divine right to be able to start doing this, and they don't want you to. So they will literally plant mind control thoughts in there, as crazy as that sounds, that this isn't true, this doesn't happen, it's not happening, I actually need to go do all of these things instead, I need to lean on these things instead. It's because we're not told the truth. We're not told from the moment we open our eyes the actual truth of this physical reality, which is that you are the character human that has a soul inside of you, that has a divine genome, I call the God particle, that is designed to stay in an aligned energetic connection and cord to the creator of everything so that it feeds you life. It feeds you that prana life force in order to activate that God particle, the divine genome, so that you, as the character playing human, remembers who you are. That's how this game on the planet works. Now, when it was infiltrated, there's no way to control man if if man is connected to God. So with that disconnection, we became completely lost, searching for God, searching for meaning, searching for understanding. Who am I? The entire thing, the entire life that we live, we're searching for who we are. We're trying to come back to who we are. We're trying to find ourselves. It's the cosmic joke. It's because we were designed innately, naturally. The divine design of the human experience is to always be connected. And so to have faith right now is you walking yourself back to the divine truth of your human experience, the divine truth of your human experience that most people are not talking about right now because it's not mainstream information yet, but it will be. It will be because it's going to work. It's the only thing that actually truly works without paying money, without changing yourself, without bending over backwards, without doing mental gymnastics. If of course it's the one thing that's going to work because it's God. It's an aspect of it's who you are. You're an aspect of that. It is the brightest, most magnificent light that could ever possibly move into us. And so when you're practicing this, when you are playing with this, remember that your thoughts are going to tell you all the things that's wrong about it, that it's not working, that it's not happening fast enough, that this isn't actually real, that this whatever your thoughts are saying, I want you to remember your thoughts are those ants. You're stepping on the ant. You're getting real close to that ant hill. Okay? And those ants are like, "Oh no, 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 no. You don't want to do this. Trust me. You don't want the light of God. It doesn't work. Trust me. See, it's not working. See? How long have you been doing it? Listen, it's not working. It doesn't work. Lorie doesn't know what she's talking about. Stop listening. Go back to the things you've been doing to try to fix yourself and heal yourself in those circles that you've been doing, those loops you've been doing your whole life. Why are you changing? Why are you trying to believe something that's really difficult to believe? That's what the anthill wants you to believe. So that's what your thoughts are going to tell you. That's what the world's going to tell you. And I'm here to tell you, uh, don't believe it. There's no way in God's green earth that I would be sitting here over and over and over again every single day, multiple times a day, telling people about this if it wasn't real and if it didn't work. I would be stupid. And if you know me, I only talk about what I experience. My teachings from the get go have only been about what I experience. Thank goodness for that, because then there is a little bit of faith, a little bit of trust, a little bit of validity around what I teach. I've never taught somebody else's teachings. I've never taught a book I read. I've never taught studies that I've studied ever. I only teach what I experience. I don't teach a channeling that came through. This isn't a channeling. This is me. And so your mind is going to convince you. And so what you want to do is you have a choice when that mind comes in and says, um, this isn't going to work. That's the moment you say, I'm going to choose faith. I'm not believing you, anthill. I'm not believing you. I'm going to believe that this is real. And you have to choose it. You have to choose it over and over and over. Faith is a choice. You have to choose faith. It's an action. You have to choose it. You have to have faith. And as so long as you have a tiny little faith, like Jesus talks about, right? The faith of a mustard seed, which grows into a magnificent tree, I believe, a big one. But all you need is that tiny little seed that plants. You just need a little faith, and that faith will grow. When you're working with the light of God, you have to start with faith, and then you have to let that faith grow. And what that means is that you will always be tested with your faith. Always, for a very long time. Faith grows and grows and grows and grows. And just when you think that you trust this light and God's in you and your divinity is shining and you're starting to really feel aligned and connected, guess what happens? The ants are like, oh, she's really connecting. And then you get all discombobulated. And I want you to remember, if this happens to you, I want you to remember this. If this happens to you, it's not you. It's not you, even though it's going to feel similar to all the things you felt your whole life. It's not you. Invite in the light of God. Beg, plead, God, come in. God, move this through me. And it's not disempowering to do this. That is another program that we need to literally throw out the door. There's nothing disempowering about asking for God to come in and say, clear this from me now. We're being attacked energetically and we're not allowed to ask for help. We 90% of humanity on this planet doesn't understand what's actually happening. They haven't yet figured out what's actually happening here on the planet. And so they think they have the solutions, but they're fighting the wrong battle. They're fighting the wrong battle. So if it happens to you, if you're feeling like, if you start, because when you bring in the light of God, it's going to change you. It's going to change your life. I'm telling you, it's going to change your life. But it also may disrupt those ants a little bit, and they may start coming at you in your mind, in your body, old behaviors, old addictions, weird things coming through. What is this? Remember the analogy. Oh, I'm standing on the anthill and I'm screaming the light of God in me and through me, and they don't like it. They're trying to get me. They're like, no, 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 wrong way, wrong way, wrong way, wrong way. And the antidote to all of that is more light, more God light, more God light, more God light, more God light, more, more. I can't do this. I need more. I need help. I need help. More God light. And it's not you. And the ways that you've tried to get rid of it before aren't going to work because it's not based on those symptoms. It's based on symptoms that are coming from these frequencies. I don't know who Kitty Rose is. Everything that this is coming from Jesus. This is all God speaking. None of this is from somebody else. None of this is from a class. None of this is from a book. This is me talking to Jesus and God and letting them show me how this works. And hopefully the prayer, the deep, deep prayer is that slowly but surely people trust what I'm saying, they start practicing it, and their suffering ends. As soon as we start realizing what's actually happening here on the planet, you will no longer be a victim and suffering in the world in the same way. And you'll actually be able to help in even bigger ways because the planet is going to need us aligned with God in the next 10 years. We can't fight this battle. We can't be in this battle in our highest capacity without being completely aligned and breathing in God's light with that divine particle moving, opening, and activating. And we actually don't do it. The light of all creation does it, and it wants to do it. It wants to come in. It wants to show us. It wants to wake us up. It wants to activate us. Do it all day long. Do it all day long. Imagine this presence is around you all day long. Imagine it's moving through you all day long. Imagine it's breathing through you all day long. Imagine it's speaking through you all day long. Imagine it's using your eyes. The more that you can literally um, be obsessed with God, the faster you will find yourself shifting. And what happens to some of us, I mean, me for sure, and other people, but you start to really become in love with God. Like you really just want more God, which is great because then you put God, the light of God first. And God is not some man at the pearly gates of heaven that's going to judge you and say, you're going to heaven, you're going to hell. That's not the God I'm speaking of. I'm speaking of the creator, the omnipresent light of everything that we all separated from and that we go back to. And when I say separate, I mean that we literally are an aspect of God. We popped out of that one creative light into individuated aspects of God. So, yes, we are, in a sense, separated. God cannot experience itself unless there is separation. However, because we are an aspect of it, obviously, on the same token, there is no separation because we're an aspect of it. But on this planet currently, in this third dimensional reality where it has been taken over by some very strange energies, our connection has been very much messed with. Our natural way of of being with God and the way we're supposed to be with God has been truly messed with, deeply messed with. Nobody ever overdoses on God. That is so true, Eric. You cannot overdose on God. It's impossible. We should have parties where we just consume God. Um, Thank you for your show. I've been experiencing spiritual warfare lately. It's intensified as I have been getting closer to Jesus. So listening to your podcast has helped me in the intense moments. Yes, my friend, keep getting close. Don't run. They want you to run. They want you to run the other way. They want you to go back to the old ways. They want you to flee God. They want you to flee Jesus. Um, and we are fighting for our truth. We're fighting for our divinity. We're fighting for freedom. We're fighting for peace. We're fighting for calm. We're fighting it first within ourselves, and then we turn around and we fight it out there. You know, it's a massive hijacking. Soul coach Susan, massive, massive hijacking. I really hope this was useful. Um, and I mean, what I would leave you with is such a huge faith in God, that light, and really understanding it's tangible. Um, oh, Wes, how precious are you? Um, Praying for you, praying for everybody that's here right now. If you're listening to this live, or if you're listening to this later on. Just gonna a deep prayer that God moves you, that God hears your prayers, that God hears your desires, that God hears you, and God moves through you. God moves in your life in ways that you never imagined. That God wows you and mystifies you and defies all logic, and that God pulls out of you what's not yours. God clears out of your body what is not yours. God shows you who you actually are. God drops you right back into your particle, that divine genome. And no matter how far you go from God's light, God pulls you back no matter what. You can never ever uh, be too far gone for God to not say, "Ah, come on back, my child. You're all good. I got you. I got you. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. I got you. Just stay in my embrace. Stay looking at me. Keep your eyes on God." Keep your eyes on God. Every thought is the infiltration. God, clear that thought. Every emotion that takes you down, God, clear that emotion. Every behavior that you don't want, God, clear that behavior. It's not about you anymore doing this on your own and finding all the mental gymnastics and all the flips and turns you have to do. Let God come in now and show you, which is how it has always been designed. It's how we are designed to be, is that God is working and moving through us, and we become God-like in a physical reality where there is duality and polarity and wars and greed and famine and genocide and everything else that's happening. We say, God, come in because I can't do this on my own anymore. Humanity is going to recognize eventually, if they can humble themselves and put their egos aside, especially their spiritual egos, they'll start to realize, huh, I think I think I need God. And it's not this idea, this logic God. It is a tangible, physical, real, intimate God. I hope you all feel it. I hope you all get so intimate with God that you are blown away, that you can't stop but share it and speak it to the world. I hope that one day you are living it so deeply in your own bodies that everybody around you begins to say, "What's going on? What are you doing? What's happening with you?" And you say, "Oh, God, it's God. I'm breathing and drinking and eating and everything God." Yes, keep showing up even if you're falling asleep. Keep showing up. It's working. God works through you. God's right there with you. Um, there's a lot of different reasons why we fall asleep. Keep showing up. Um, yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you for joining me on this random Thursday. And it's when you start having God work through you, when you start deciding to bring God in through your body, God works through you. God wants to work through you. God needs to work through you. God being the divine light that we all are. Greatest thing about connecting back in with God is you remember who you are slowly but surely in the ups and the downs. And then, feels so good. And then you remind others. God uses you to remind others. God uses you. You're not doing it. God does it. And then it's just such a beautiful feeling because you know it's not you. You know it's not about you. The world is very egoic and in self right now. Me, I, and God changes all of that, flips it around, flips it and reverses it. Okay, you guys, I love you. I will see you next Wednesday, 2 p.m. People are still uh, not knowing that my Untangled moved to the Lori Ladd show Wednesdays at 2 p.m. So we'll have to spread the word. God, spread the word. Spread the word. I'll see you guys next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Unless I do another impromptu. Who knows? Maybe that will happen again tomorrow. Only God knows. Literally, only God knows. Uh, I appreciate all of you for being here and for staying open to this information. And I hope that God changes your life in ways that He's changed mine, and that we can be the lights that we came here to be. I love you very much. Mwah.